I appreciate I appreciate you all coming out. This is Kim Romer, Board Chair of MSA&J, and again, welcome. Today we have a presentation on speech therapy. We have Samantha Elandary, and I hope I said that right.
That's right. Yeah.
Excellent. She is the founder and CEO of the Parkinson's Voice Project, and she is going to talk about speaking with intent and how speech and voice issues that are related to Parkinson's and Parkinson's plus disorders can be worked through her therapies. So having said that, thank you for joining us today, Samantha. We look forward to your session and appreciate you coming out to speak to the group. I'm going to have you get started, and I hope you all come away with some great tips from this.
Okay, just want to make sure that everybody can see me. We're good. It's a little bit different when it's a webinar.
I do see you, Samantha.
Okay.
So excellent. Okay.
All right. Well, very good. Well, thank you so much for this opportunity to come talk to you about speech therapy for people with MSA. Again, my name is Samantha Elandary. I'm the founder of Parkinson Voice Project. We are a nonprofit speech therapy clinic. We're located in Richardson, Texas. That's a suburb of Dallas. And our mission is to make quality speech treatment accessible to people with Parkinson's and Parkinson plus disorders, such as MSA, to make quality speech treatment accessible to patients everywhere, worldwide. So I started this organization in 2005 in my living room. Now we have our clinic in Richardson, Texas, and we train speech language pathologists across the globe in a treatment program that we developed called Speak Out. I think the best way that I can help you today is to explain the premise of Speak Out, which is to speak with intent. I'm going to give you lots of examples of what it means to speak with intent. And then I would like to give you some examples of exercises, of things you can do today at home to practice speaking with intent and to help to re-coordinate the speech and swallowing muscles. So let me start off by saying that the speech characteristics with MSA are very similar to those with Parkinson's, but it's like having them on steroids. And those of you with us, you probably already know what the speech characteristics are. A softer voice, maybe a raspy voice or breathy voice, a voice that sounds kind of tight, maybe trouble coordinating the breath support for speech. For example, some people start holding their breath. So that's a matter of coordinating the air going in and out. Let's see, what else did I say? Raspy voice, slurred speech can be a symptom of the speech characteristics with MSA. Now, what I want you to understand, and I have a lot of people, a lot of my patients over the years have said, well, I never realized that. But the muscles we use for speaking are the same muscles that we use for swallowing. They are directly linked. So if somebody notices changes in their speech, they really need to work very hard on it because the speech and the swallowing are connected. And we want to do everything we can to keep the muscles for both speaking and swallowing working the way they're supposed to. When you think about it, we just have one mouth, one tongue, one set of teeth, our palate, vocal folds. So these muscles we are using for speaking, but they're also the muscles that we use to swallow with. The muscles we use to chew our food with and move the food around in our mouth and move it to the back of our throat so that we can swallow. So hopefully that helps to explain or help us to understand that speaking and swallowing are directly linked. So we want to learn how to speak with intent. The program that we developed called Speak Out is developed, it's based on the teachings of a world-renowned speech-language pathologist, the late Daniel R. Boone. In the late 1950s, Dr. Boone recognized that people with Parkinson's and Parkinson plus disorder could make themselves better understood if they spoke with intent. The way that he figured this out, he was working with a neurologist in Cleveland, Ohio, and they asked patients to count forwards, to count from 1 to 15 forwards. When they did this, their speech was really soft, slurred, raspy, very hard to understand. Then they asked the patients, will you please count backwards, count from 15 to 1. And when they did that, they said 15, 14, 13. Well, what was happening when they were counting backwards compared to forwards? They were using intent. They were thinking about it. And when we use intent, intent is not just about being proactive, although that is very important. If you go to the store, you see mugs that say, live with intent. I have a journal that says, write with purpose. So yes, being deliberate, focusing, concentrating, all of those things are very good, and it's good to be proactive. But in terms of speech and other things that you do, when you're speaking with intent, you're actually using a motor system that is not as dependent on dopamine. So you're using a different motor system that works better with Parkinson's and with MSA. Now, normally speech and swallowing are automatic behaviors. This is really important for us to understand. Before you were diagnosed, and I don't know if some of you were diagnosed with Parkinson's and then later they realized it was MSA. With my patients, that's not uncommon. But before the diagnosis, you could probably walk and talk, and you didn't really have to think about it. You could have maybe walked down the street with a friend, talking and walking and eating an ice cream cone all at the same time, because talking and swallowing are normally automatic behaviors. Think about it. Before the diagnosis, you wouldn't have to think about where your tongue was when you are articulating. You didn't have to necessarily think about your volume. If you went into a noisy restaurant, you increased your volume to an appropriate level. If you went into a quiet place, if you went into church, you would lower your volume automatically, and it would still be able to be heard. Now with the diagnosis, maybe you try to increase your volume and you start yelling, or you try to lower the volume and it's too soft. People are asking you to repeat. So regulating the volume is one thing that was automatic before. Articulating was automatic. The way that the air, when we talk, air goes into our lungs, we expand our lungs, we contract the muscles, we push the air up, the air hits our vocal folds, and then the air comes up and we move our tongue and our lips to articulate. All of that was automatic. But now, maybe the voice is too soft. It's trailing off at the end of sentences, which means you're running out of air when you're talking. All of that was automatic before. One thing that I think is fascinating is that before the diagnosis, normally humans will take the amount of breath they need for the words that they're about to speak. Think about that. Humans normally take the amount of breath they need for the words that they're about to speak. So for example, if I'm going to say, how are you? I don't have to tell myself, Samantha, you're only going to say 3 words, so you only need a tiny breath. Or I don't have to say, okay, Samantha, you're about to say 10 words. Take a really deep breath. Normally, humans take the amount of breath they need for the words that they're about to speak. You see how it's automatic? But now when patients are trailing off at the end of their sentences, they're not taking the appropriate amount of breath because the automatic system for speaking and swallowing is not working like it should be. So we need to learn how to speak with intent. We need to learn how to use a motor system that is actually functioning better. And that's what Speak Out is based on. Speak Out, that's the name of our program that we developed at Parkinson Voice Project. Speak Out is about transitioning speech from an automatic function to an intentional function, to an intentional act. So when you go through speech therapy, you're doing exercises to strengthen the muscles, and then you're learning how to speak with intent. Now I'm going to share my screen. I'd like to show you a video, and it's right on the homepage of our website, and I'll make sure that this gets added to the PowerPoint so you have access. But let me show you this video, and you're going to see 4 people before they went through the Speak Out therapy program, and then you'll see them afterwards. So you'll see them when they were using their automatic voice that's not working very well, and then you'll see them when they're speaking with intent. Notice a couple things. Notice that when they're talking, they're not moving their mouths very much. The movements have gotten smaller. Their voice might sound raspy, breathy. They're trailing off. The volume is inconsistent. It goes louder, then it goes softer. You're also going to see, I believe it's the second gentleman, who you can tell he's really having a hard time coordinating his breathing. You'll see him, you'll be able to tell when you see the video. So I want you to pay attention to what the voice sounds like and what the patient looks like when they're using their automatic motor system, and how it changes. What happens when they speak with intent? Their mouth moves better, their facial expression is better, their voice is clearer, they're not trailing off. So let's watch this video together. Okay, it says the host disabled the screen sharing. Can you put that on? Here we go. All right, hold on 1 second. All right, so this is ParkinsonVoiceProject.org. This is our website, so you can certainly visit it to learn more. But if we scroll down, here's a video. It says watch 4 patients before and after Speak Out. So we're going to open this up and watch it.
10,
back
11,
up.
12.
You're trying to make many efforts, many attempts to get somebody else to give up on me. And I was much stronger, much clearer. The words are more concise. I sound like a human being.
Count from 1 to 15.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
My wife has noticed it more than I, but apparently I've lost a lot of oomph in my voice.
It's me talking, and it's me, only as a part of this process did I learn that I had relinquished control of my voice and relinquished a significant part of my life, which is being sociable and social, and now I think I'm back in charge, or I'm on my way to being back in charge.
It's much softer and more difficult to speak. I speak louder, clearer, and with intent.
You can see now those 4 people were diagnosed with Parkinson's, and you can see how well the treatment works. And someone diagnosed with Parkinson's can make really good progress in therapy, and they can maintain the results for a long time, 10, 15, 20 years. I still have patients that I treated in my living room in 1999, and their voices still sound good. Now with MSA, it's more challenging. I said it's like Parkinson's on steroids. The speech characteristics are similar, but the patient has to really work hard to maintain those results and to maintain functional communication. When we say functional communication, that means talking with your family and close friends and being able to communicate what you need and communicate with your doctors. It is essential for everyone with MSA to have speech therapy as soon as possible. You do not want to wait. If you are diagnosed with MSA and you haven't enrolled in speech therapy, I encourage you to run to the speech pathologist, find a speak out provider, and you can find a therapist that's been trained in our program on our website. But something that is really important, it is important for people with Parkinson's too, but it is absolutely essential for family of people with MSA to understand the exercises and to understand what intent is, and to help the patient with MSA to figure out what is the best cue for this particular person. So let me explain. Let's say somebody says something, okay, somebody with MSA says something, and the family doesn't understand what they said. The family does not want to say, what? Wait, what did you say? I didn't hear you. Yeah, you're mumbling. You see, those comments from the family are not cueing. Well, that's what I mean by cueing. They're not cueing, or they're not helping the patient to be able to repeat what they just said in a voice that is easy to understand, okay? So ideally, we don't want people to have to repeat. So in speech therapy, we're going to work like crazy to get the muscles stronger, to teach the person how to speak with intent. But it is hard because speech is normally automatic. Okay, so now speech is not automatic. The patient has to deliberately speak in a way that makes it clear. Okay, even the people you just saw in the video, when they're speaking with intent, that's not coming out automatically. They're having to concentrate on it. So for MSA, going through speech therapy is one part of it. Okay, the other part is training the family to give the best cue. And in speech therapy, you figure out what that cue is. So for example, the person with MSA says something, I would like a glass of milk, okay? And let's say it was slurred and the family member didn't hear it. We don't want them to say, what? Wait, say that again? Okay, we want them to cue the patient in the best way. So maybe the cue is, say that with intent. Okay, so how do you know when you find the right cue? Because when the family member says it, it triggers the person with MSA to say it in a better way. Okay, but the cues are different for everybody, and that's how you figure it out in speech therapy. For example, maybe if I tell someone, well, say it with intent, maybe they repeat it in the same way. But if I say, will you say that louder? So the cue louder is another way of speaking with intent. So for sometimes the person says, may I have a glass of milk? Will you say that louder? May I have a glass of milk? Okay, so you know when you found the right cue when the patient repeats it in a different way. If you don't have the right cue, then the person might repeat the same thing over and over and over exactly the same way. Am I making sense? I hope I am. It's a little bit hard because I can't see all of you, but I hope that I'm explaining this. It is very important. Going through speech therapy, learning the exercises, learning how to speak with intent, but especially with MSA, figuring out what the right cue is. Sometimes the cue is, let's say you say, may I have a glass of milk? Will you say every word with intent? May I have a glass of milk? Okay, for some people, that's what they need to do to be understood. So for some people, the cue is say it with intent, say it louder, say every word with intent, speak out across the room. So in speech therapy, you're going to figure out what the cue is, and then we need to train the whole family so that everybody is using the same cue. And amazingly, during the pandemic, when people have become more tech savvy, it is so much easier to involve family, because just like us, we're from all over the country. Y'all are in New Jersey, maybe. I'm in Dallas, but we're able to communicate. So I encourage, especially with MSA, for family to hop on that Zoom call and participate in the therapy session. It's actually even better than doing the treatment maybe in person. It's always nice to have in-person treatment. But for the person with MSA or any Parkinson plus disorder, if family does not live in the same city and cannot attend the therapy session, I strongly urge you, if you can, to do online treatment and have family participate, because you will need family to help. It's essential. Let me think of I also want to bring up for the family. So you're figuring out what the best cue is, okay? Another little trick you can do is to have the family give the cue before the patient answers. So for example, you might say, let's say the cue is to speak louder. Let's say every time you say speak louder, the patient's voice comes out. It's just so much easier to understand. So the family or the spouse could get in the habit of saying, what do you feel like having for lunch? Say it louder. Do you see how I did that? You kind of sneak it in. And so oftentimes what will happen if you use that cue before the patient even answers, it will reduce the amount of times that the person has to repeat, okay? And it'll reduce the frustration between patient and family. So you slip, I say we slip the cue in before the patient ever has something. Now, this takes training. It really takes practice. You're going to try it at home and you're like, I forgot to give the cue before. But believe me, you keep practicing it. Now, you want to make sure that doesn't bother the person with MSA, but most of the times it doesn't, because you don't even make, you don't bring too much attention to it. What time are the kids coming over? Say it louder. Or use your stronger voice. What time are the kids coming over? Say it with intent. Then the person that gives the cue, because again, speech is not automatic. It gives the cue and the patient says 6 o'clock. All right. So we're talking about a few things. Speech and swallowing are connected. So if you're noticing speech issues, even if they're mild, I want you to run to the speech pathologist and start treatment right away. It's much harder to treat later on. So speech and swallowing are connected. Speech is normally automatic. We have to change it from automatic to intentional. And then we want to train the family and figure out what is the cue that works the best. When we use this cue, the person with MSA speaks clearer, because that will reduce so much frustration for the patient and the family member. Okay. Another little trick for the family, and then I'm going to show you some more videos. Another little trick that you can get in the habit of doing. Before the person with MSA starts talking, so before you say, what time are the kids coming over? I want you to get the person you're talking to, I want you to get their attention first. So you will say, John, in your intentional voice, John, and you're going to wait for John to look at you. What time are the kids coming over? Do you see the difference between that and the person, maybe someone's watching TV or in another room and you go, what time are the kids coming over? What? What time are the kids coming over? You're mumbling. I can't understand you. Does that sound familiar? Again, I can't see you, but just from working with people with Parkinson plus disorders, I mean, that's usually kind of a common way the conversation goes, versus, John, yes, honey, what time are the kids coming over? Because you get the person's full attention. So that's another little trick. It takes practice to do. It really does take practice. You're going to start saying, oh, what time are the kids coming over? And you're like, oh, shoot, John. Okay, so you've got to practice it. All right. I'm going to show you, before we go on, are there any questions? I'm happy to answer some questions if you have them. I can look down at that.
It looks
No.
quiet right now, and we'll just take
Okay.
this moment real quickly to mention that Julia Landicho is here to help facilitate with questions. Julia is a volunteer for MSA New Jersey and a nursing student. Many of the members of the New Jersey group know her, so she'll help out with that as well. Thank you.
Sure. Good. Okay. Well, I'm going to show you now. I'm going to show you a video of somebody with Parkinson's. And you're going to see him before and after treatment, and then you're going to see him several years later. So you can kind of get an idea of, with regular Parkinson's, how the treatment works. Then I'm going to show you a video of somebody who was initially diagnosed with Parkinson's, and then later they were diagnosed with MSA. So we're going to see the difference of that. And then I'm going to go over some exercises that you can do on your own and tell you how you can find a therapist in your area. So let me bring up real quickly. Let me just find it, and then I'm going to share my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Not
All of
yet.
it? I don't think so. Yeah, all of a sudden, both of my screens ended up showing the PowerPoint on both. Okay, all right. Now, do you see our website? All right, now are you able to see, it says pre and post treatment?
Not yet.
Okay, hold on. How about now?
It's loading. It's not up yet, but it shows that it's loading.
No, it's so strange. It's not showing up on mine. 1 second, let me try it again. I'm going to close out our website. Sorry about that. Let's try this one more time. Every time. How about now? Do you see the PowerPoint slide?
Yes, we can see.
Yes.
Okay, good. That's so strange. When I try to make it full screen, it doesn't want to show it. So we won't make it full screen. All right, we're going to watch this person before and after speak out. Again, notice what his voice is like, how soft it is, how it's trailing off at the beginning. See how it changes when he speaks with intent, and then you're going to see him several years later. So you'll get an idea of how he maintained.
Tell me your full name.
Ricky
Just want to make sure, are you able to hear it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Ray Eldridge.
And when were you diagnosed with Parkinson's disease?
About a year and a half ago.
And have you noticed a change in your voice or speech?
Yeah, my voice, and when I speak, especially towards the end of the day, there's a real tightness in here. Feels like my tongue is filling up my mouth, and it becomes harder to vocalize towards the end of the day.
Okay, has anyone else said anything to you about your voice?
Yeah, my friends, and I have a summer job with the Dallas County Appraisal Review Board where I sit on a panel that hears appeals, property owner appeals. And if I chair the meeting about halfway through the day, and the podium's sitting right there, they're having to ask me more than once what I said.
My name is Ricky Ray Eldridge.
When were you diagnosed with Parkinson's disease?
I was diagnosed with a central tremor first. A year and a half later, I got the diagnosis for Parkinson's, and so that's been a total of about 4 years.
Okay. Now that you have completed the Speak Out voice program, do you notice a change in your voice or speech?
Oh, a tremendous change.
What have you noticed?
Noticed in the grocery store when I talked to the cashier, I don't have to repeat myself. I noticed today when I was at my ARB meeting that more than one person said, I can tell your voice is much stronger. Karen, sitting next to her, she doesn't say what as much. And my family has noticed.
What do you like most about your new voice?
I just like the fact people are hearing what I'm saying, and it's improved my cognitive abilities. Just going through these exercises, I don't have to think as much about a word because it just seems to pop in my head better. But at the same time, while I'm doing that, I don't drop my voice when I come up with the word I'm thinking of. So.
What does it mean to speak with intent?
It means to be aware of your surroundings at all time, whether you're in a crowd, whether you're talking one-on-one, but always speaking so they can hear you the first time. It's just less frustrating on me when I don't have to repeat myself.
Is there anything else that you'd like to say about your experience with maintenance and maintaining your speech over time?
No, the only thing I guess I would remind people is it's something you've just got to do. Not just to maintain your voice so people can hear you. I've had choking issues. And then you're talking about life and death issues. And so I'm always reminding myself to do the exercises and get that voice as strong as I can get it.
So you can see how he went through Speak Out and he maintained it, but he has to work on it. So typically after Speak Out, whether it's Parkinson's or MSA, you're having to do exercises every day to work on your speech because you're fighting against the progression of the disease. So, you know, sometimes I work with somebody, and this is the same for physical therapy or occupational therapy. I might work with someone and I said, well, are you going through physical therapy? Oh yeah, I finished that 2 years ago. Or yeah, I saw a speech therapist. It was a year ago. But with Parkinson's or Parkinson plus disorders, people never stop therapy. Now you might finish your official therapy sessions with your therapist, but it is a constant thing. You have to work on it every single day. And the difference between Parkinson's and MSA, somebody with Parkinson's might be able to go not even very long, maybe a few days, maybe 5 days without doing their exercises before they start to notice that the raspy voice is coming back or they're having trouble swallowing. That's kind of scary, right? They only went 5 days. With MSA, you really can't go any days without doing your exercises. And that can be frustrating with people. But at the same time, the more that you practice, the more you work on it, the better it will be. And so you've got to keep working on it. So you have an evaluation, a speech evaluation, you go through Speak Out, you get the voice as strong as you can, and then you work like crazy to keep up with the exercises. You set a home practice routine. Another reason that the family needs to be involved. And you set a time every day that you're going to work on your speech. You might work on it twice a day. And in between, you're trying to speak with intent. I'm going to share my screen again. I'm going to show you someone who was originally diagnosed with Parkinson's. Then later they realized it was MSA. And what I want to show you is that she made really progress. So this was really MSA. They thought it was Parkinson's, but it was MSA. So I want to show you how much better she got. So you can make good progress. I don't have a later video of her, but I have an audio recording. So you're going to notice how it changed. You see, versus the video you just saw where he was able to maintain it, not easy, but maintain it easier. The person with MSA, you can see it started to get a little bit more raspy, a little harder. And that's how it is. So let me show, I'll try to share my screen again. Hold on. I think I know how we need to do it. And so you'll see this woman. Let's go. Okay, do you see the woman, Lynn?
Yes.
Okay, all right, here we go.
Tell me your full name.
Lynn Elaine English.
When were you diagnosed with Parkinson's disease?
September 23rd, 2013.
Have you noticed a change in your voice or speech?
A little slurring occasionally, but other than that, no.
Okay. Has anyone said anything to you about your voice?
Oh, my mother, but she's 83 and she's hard of hearing anyway.
What does she say?
The people I hang around with are older anyway, and I don't know if it's me or them.
Has anybody mentioned anything though specifically?
No.
No. Your husband not said anything?
He's hard of hearing too.
Okay. There you go.
So I want to know if it's me or them.
All right. Would you please say ah for as long as you can?
Oh, for as long as I can. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then count from 1 to 15.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
If you would read the rainbow passage.
Rainbow passage. When the sunlight strikes raindrops in the air, they act like a prism and form a rainbow. The rainbow is a division of white light into many beautiful colors.
Thank you.
Before we show the rest of it, I want to bring up, do you notice how it's very mild? She cleared her throat one time. The voice got caught up one time. And so it's very mild, but her husband's having trouble, her family's having trouble hearing her, and she doesn't really believe that she's the one with the problem. That is very common, very common. Another reason why family needs to get involved. So if somebody's asking you to repeat, even if you don't notice the problem, I encourage you to go have a speech evaluation. Now, so very, very important, but you see it's very, very mild at the beginning. And that's when you want to do therapy. You don't want to wait till later. So now let's watch her afterwards.
If you would sing Happy Birthday, please.
Oh, you're gonna be you. This is gonna be
This
terrible.
is before.
I'm not a singer at all, and that's one of the worst songs.
Yeah, this is still before treatment.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Pam. Happy birthday to you.
Tell me your full name.
Lynn Elaine English.
When were you diagnosed with Parkinson disease?
In September of 2013.
Now that you've completed the Speak Out voice program, do you notice a change in your voice or speech?
My voice is louder, maybe not as scratchy as it once was.
Anything else?
It is stronger. People don't have to ask me to repeat as much.
Have your family or friends noticed a change in your voice?
Yes, especially my mother, who's 83 years old and hard of hearing, and she welcomes the thought of me speaking louder so that she can hear me without saying, huh?
I want to point out something. Do you notice how it changed? Before treatment, she wasn't the one with the problem. It was her mother who was deaf. And now during treatment, she's starting to recognize. Now her voice is a little bit choppy. She's trying to speak with intent. And that's normal at first when you're just learning how to do it. Hopefully the more she practices, the easier it will get. But you can see that she's transitioning her speech from automatic to intentional, and it's easier to understand.
Please say ah for as long as you can.
You notice how much stronger her breath support is. This is significant because of the progression of MSA. You want to get your voice as strong as possible to protect it for the future. And that's again why you want to do early treatment. Let's keep watching.
Please count from 1 to 15.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
And please read the rainbow passage.
Rainbow passage. When the sunlight strikes raindrops in the air, they act like a prism and form a rainbow. The rainbow is a division of white light into many beautiful colors.
Thank you. Please sing Happy Birthday.
Is it your birthday again, Pam? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Beverly, my friend. Happy birthday to you.
And what do you like most about your new voice?
I'm not afraid to speak up and speak out.
When you want people to hear and understand you, what do you need to do?
Speak loud, louder, and with intent.
Okay, now you're going to hear her voice. I don't have a video, but you're going to hear it 2 years later. So kind of think back to that person that had regular Parkinson's and how he maintained it in 6 years. And this one, how it's starting to decline a little bit.
You wish to know all about my grandfather. Well, he is 93 years old, but he still thinks as swiftly as ever. A long beard clings to his chin, giving those who observe him a pronounced feeling of utmost respect. When he speaks, his voice is just a bit cracked and quivers a trifle. Twice each day he plays skillfully and with zest upon a small organ, except in the winter when the snow or ice prevents. He slowly takes a short walk in the open air each day. We have often urged him to walk more and smoke less, but he always answers banana oil. Grandfather likes to be modern in his language.
Were you able to tell how her voice was changing a little bit? It wasn't quite as clear, like mine right now, wasn't quite as clear, but it was 2 years later. But you see, it wasn't as clear as the person with Parkinson's. But she did her exercises and really spoke with intent. So my point here is that, yes, it's going to be harder for people with MSA to understand. They're going to need the family to cue sometimes, excuse me, and it progresses a little faster than Parkinson's, but you can still get better. I'm just looking at our time and I realized I've used up a lot of it. Do we have time for me to show you a few exercises?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. All right. Well, one thing I want to let you know of a free resource. Let me show you the website just real quickly. This is parkinsonvoiceproject.org. Let me show you a couple things for you. Right here, this orange button on the right, do you see it? It says find a speak out provider. I'm kind of hovering over it, the orange button on the right. That's where you can click that button and find a speak out provider in your area. A speak out provider is a speech language pathologist that has gone through training with Parkinson Voice Project. So we're trying to train as many people as we can so that you will have access to the treatment. The next resource right below, you see my picture and one of our other speech pathologists. We are doing speak out exercise sessions, practice sessions, Monday through Friday. I'm going to click on this. All right, you're going to notice that here's the video from yesterday up at the top. And then there are recordings all the way down here. Okay, there's lots of recordings, lots of speech practice sessions. I want to mention that you definitely want to do speech therapy, and then you can use the practice sessions. Okay, I wanted to show you those two things. All right, some things that you can do right away. You're going to do speech therapy, but these are some things you can do right away to speak with intent. All of you have spoken with intent all of your lives. Think about when you had a job interview, you sat up straighter, you tried to make good eye contact, smile, try to produce a clear voice. So I want you to think of that as you do this exercise with me. We're going to count just back and forth. I'm going to say 1, you say 2. We're just going to do this, count to 10. Ready? I'm going to start with 1. 1, 3, 5. Oh, let's start over. I mixed up. Okay, I'm going to do 1. Now, I want you to speak out. Throw your voice over my head. Okay, we're alternating. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Okay, so we're speaking out. Lift the voice and throw it forward. You can go backwards. I'm going to start with 10, and then you say 9. We're going to use a lot of intent. Your very best voice. Ready? 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. Do you see how I'm speaking out? I'm lifting the voice and projecting it. You can think of, look across the room, a refrigerator, a TV, a picture, a window. Project your voice in front of you, okay? So you can count back and forth. You can also do the days of the week. Let's do it together. And I'm looking at some pictures across the wall, across the room, and I'm going to throw my voice over those pictures. Let's alternate. I'll start with Monday. Monday. Wednesday. Friday. Sunday. Okay. When you're doing that, you're taking a really deep breath. You're moving your mouth more. You're moving the vocal folds. So you're exercising and you're learning how to speak with intent. You could do the days of the week forwards and backwards. Then you could do the months of the year. Another thing you could do if you have just some playing cards is you can name the card. We're looking at, for MSA, we're trying to do short responses, okay? Not at the beginning, but especially if you're struggling right now to produce words and simple phrases, try some of these things. So we've got an every word with intent, 9 of clubs. Do you see how I said clubs in front? We're speaking out. So it's 9 of clubs. Say it with me. 9 of clubs. Don't let it be here. It's not 9 of clubs. It's 9 of clubs. Ready? 9 of clubs. So it's every word. So ace of diamonds, every word. Ace of diamonds. Again, ace of diamonds. Do you see how I lifted? I said diamonds. Say that with me. Diamonds. And all together, ace of diamonds. So you can name cards. You can change it, make it more challenging, make yourself think more by saying, what card comes after this one? Let's say it together. 2 of diamonds. Again, 2 of diamonds. What card comes 3 after this one? 7 of clubs. Again, 7 of clubs. And repeat. Don't just say it once. Say it twice or 3 times. And every time, try to use more and more intent. You can also take a magazine or a photo album and name the people in the pictures. That's John. That's Mary. And then all about your vacation. That was Hawaii. Do you see how I say Hawaii? I'm lifting and I'm speaking out. You can look in photo albums, name the people, name the place where you were. If you want to make it more challenging, describe the trip and when you went and what you enjoyed the most. You can also look through magazines and just name pictures. You can go through your junk mail and name the items. Grapes, $1.99 a pound, but the whole time you're speaking out. Can name things in your pantry. Green beans, tomato sauce. Name things in your refrigerator. Milk, butter, and you're getting used to speaking with intent, but every time you speak with intent, you're expanding the lungs, contracting the muscles, pushing that air up, making the vocal folds move the way they're supposed to do, and the coordination of the breathing, the coordination of the breath support for speech, air going in and out. And so every time you speak out, you're doing, it's like doing sit-ups. You're doing that motion every single time. You can also do math problems. You could do 3 + 3 = 6. You can look up just a simple math sheet online. You can just, like I said, we know you know the answer. This is about speaking with intent. So it's not that you don't know how to add. but you can use those to help you work on your speech. You can look for worksheets online where, like English worksheets where you have to fill in the blank, or grammar worksheets where they have the word there, THERE, or there, THEIR. You know how some of them you're filling in the blank and you have to pick the right word? Well, you could do that. It's making you think and speak with intent at the same time. Also spelling words, spelling names. If I were to spell Sam, S-A-M, I'm thinking about every letter with intent. These are some easy ways that you can practice your speech. But please, I encourage you to visit our website, find a speech language pathologist in your area. And one of the big advantages, I think, with Parkinson Voice Project, by the way, we are a nonprofit speech therapy clinic. And since 2008, we have not charged for any of our speech therapy. So our program is funded entirely through donations. So we have a lot of resources available to you, those free practice sessions that we do Monday through Friday. And then the speech pathologists that we train, they probably bill insurance. It depends on their clinic. If you were in Texas, you could be treated by Parkinson Voice Project, and we don't charge for our services. I hope that was helpful to you. I'm ready to answer any questions you might have.
Great. I guess we can start the Q&A. For those, I'm Julia Landicho. I've worked with Dr. Romer and MSA New Jersey, MSA Coalition, in volunteering and researching some of this for the school. So I'm just going to be facilitating the questions. This is a great opportunity to get any of the questions out there that you've been wanting to learn more about. Dr. Samantha Elandary, she's amazing. She has a lot of information to share with us. So I'm going to start with the first question that we have here. I believe this was referring to the real life application of speaking with intention, getting the intention from whether it's the patient or the caregiver.
Let me, I'm not sure I understand the question.
There was an
getting
example,
the attention or the caregiver with the last example. Oh, it can be both. Of course, my husband and I have to do this now, and neither of us are living with MSA or Parkinson's. It's a great, just a really great tool, just even as we get older. You know, before we might be communicating from different rooms or with the TV on or while we're doing dishes, and it's just a good idea, especially though for the person with MSA to get the attention first. So it would be Samantha, and then I'm going to look at you. Oh, yes. What do you need? You know, and then may I have a glass of milk? But it's always good. And like I said, we're always, you know, doing other things, especially with the telephone and technology and everything. And if you get the person's attention first, it just reduces the frustration and it reduces the amount of times the person with MSA will have to repeat if they will just get the attention of the person they're wanting to talk to first.
Okay, and then we have another question here. Is dry throat an MSA symptom, especially with the morning after sleeping? So if you could provide some insight with that.
Yeah, I don't know that it's specific to MSA, but it could be to medications, or if somebody is sleeping with their mouth open, the mouth can get very dry. So it is important to be drinking water. If the mouth is dry at night, you could use a humidifier. I will say if you drink alcohol the night before, it will dry out your throat. So, you know, the next morning. So again, drinking enough water. And I would say that it can be challenging for people to drink enough water. Just some little tricks that some of my patients do is maybe they might fill up their cup with a little bit of juice and, you know, a fourth juice and then the rest water. That's one little trick to people that maybe they are not wanting to drink enough water. And then let's not forget about other sources of water. Having some broth, soup, jello, things like that can also provide more hydration, but it's very important for the voice and just your body in general to be drinking enough water. So let me explain one thing. The drier the vocal folds, the more push from the lungs to make the vocal folds vibrate the way they're supposed to. So the way that we speak, the vocal folds sit here on top of your airway. So when you want to talk, you take a really deep breath, you expand your lungs, you push the air out, the air hits your vocal folds and then start vibrating. And that's how you make sound. The drier the vocal folds are, the more push from the lungs that is required to make them blow apart the way that they're supposed to. So the drier they are, the harder it is to talk. So it's good to have plenty of water.
All right, thank you. And then we have another question here asking if there's any exercises that can limit the need for word substitutions.
Well, I will say that for part of the Speak Out protocol, we have 6 exercises in the Speak Out protocol, and the 6th one is the cognitive piece. Now, what we do, some common issues with Parkinson's and MSA is word finding or coming up with a word. So as you go through the Speak Out protocol, we are doing exercises. They start real simple, like filling in the blank. For example, you fill in the blank, or those of you watching, up and, yes and, fork and. Okay, so you start real simple, but then as we go through Speak Out, we change it up. Now, what if we try this? I'm going to do the same thing, but I want you to give me, I'm going to say the same word twice. I want you to give me 2 different answers. So, all right, ready to? I'm going to say it twice. Give me 1 answer each time. So it's up and, now a different one, up and. Was that harder? Maybe you said up and down, up and away. You see what we're working on? So we're working on the cognitive skills while speaking out. Now the question was some exercises to work on that. Is that what that was?
Yeah, for the word substitutions, yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is, when you're talking, because speech is no longer automatic, you're already putting forth so much energy into speaking with intent that you really don't want to have to try to change up what you're saying. Oftentimes what happens when people are not being understood, they try to say it in a shorter way or say it in a more simple way. And that takes a lot of work. What I would rather you do is speak out. Don't think about trying to shorten what you're saying. And that's another thing that family members will often say. They'll say, well, say it shorter. If you could just say short phrases, it'd be easier to understand. I want you to speak out. I want you to say every word with intent. And as you go through Speak Out, though, there is a cognitive component to get you used to being able to say those words and being able to come up with the words faster. But that also takes a lot of practice. Oftentimes people will not just do the Speak Out exercises, but later on in the afternoon, it would be great to work for 15 minutes with your spouse, again, just on cognitive exercises. And I do want to mention that we have a Speak Out workbook that we developed that has all of the exercises in it. And anyone who lives in the United States, when you're working with a speech pathologist, a Speak Out provider, we will mail you a Speak Out workbook for free. So that's another way that our nonprofit can help people all over the United States. So when you have your evaluation with your Speak Out provider, if they say, yeah, you're a good candidate for treatment, they're going to give you our phone number and you'll call us and you'll say, I'm going to order the workbook. We offer that for free for anybody with Parkinson's or Parkinson plus disorders. And the workbook has the cognitive exercises in it.
All right. As we're waiting for more questions to roll in, feel free to ask these questions now. Now's the time. So while we wait for that, I'd like to ask some of my own questions. So as you were saying, speaking with intent, does that process over time become an automatic process?
No, it'll never become automatic because of the lack of dopamine. Automatic movements require dopamine. And so it will never be automatic. And that's why. So let me give you a great example. Let's say a child was going through speech therapy. A child could not say her R's, the R sound. So I work with the child to say their R's, and my whole purpose in working with that child is to make the R, production of R, automatic. With Parkinson's and MSA, it will never be automatic. It's impossible. So when you hear it takes 30 days to form a habit, that is not possible with Parkinson's. And that's why people have to go through speech therapy, then work on it every day, once or twice a day. And then every 3 months, normally with MSA, every 3 months, you would go back to the speech pathologist and check in and see how it's going. If you've maintained, then they say, great, keep doing what you're doing. If it's starting to go down, the speech pathologist might recommend a session or two to get you back up. So it's continuous monitoring of the speech. So when you saw the video of the man that came back 6 years later, he had been coming back every 6 months for a refresher. And so we monitor it closely. We don't let it get away from us. We pull the family in when we need to. Okay. Hopefully that helps.
Yes, thank you. And just more questions. So you talked about training family and friends. So how would you recommend dealing with people when you're out in public, with medical workers, at the store, things like that? How can patients gain more confidence with that? Because it can be frustrating having to, speak more intently. It's a different process. So what can we do about it?
As you're going through the Speak Out protocol, we're helping you to become more comfortable with speaking with intent. It takes a lot of work. Normally, it takes patients anywhere from 6 months to 2 years, even with Parkinson's, 6 months to 2 years to get used to speaking with intent. And that's why, for example, we're offering these home sessions, these home practice sessions, Monday through Friday. We started doing that with the pandemic, and it's turned out to be a wonderful resource. We have over 1,500 patients practicing with us every day, because it's not going to be automatic. You're going to have to keep working on it. So for example, on about day 3 of the Speak Out protocol, I usually have my patients start making phone calls. And so what we do is we call some businesses, and this is something you can do if you want to practice, and we call a business and we ask a very simple question like, how late are you open? That's it. How late are you open? And then the person who answered the phone, they say, 10 o'clock, and you say, thank you. So I have my patients call 5, 10 businesses, just asking that. How late are you open? And if they didn't have to repeat, that's wonderful. Then the person answers and you say, thank you. And you get used to it. Now, if you have to repeat, when you said, how late are you open? They go, I'm sorry, sir, I didn't understand what you said, right? Then you know that you didn't use enough intent. So you try it again, you call a different one. How late are you open? Also, when people are treated at Parkinson Voice Project, we walk down the hallway and the patient will talk to people and practice. So you've just got to go out there and try it. And what's going to happen when you speak with intent with the sales clerk, with other people, what you're going to notice over time is, wow, I ordered my food at the restaurant. I felt like I was kind of yelling, but they just took my order. They understood me. And so you start to pay attention that, wow, when I speak with intent, people understand me. But it's not about yelling or anything. It's about getting the voice in front of you and really concentrating, just like you would if you were in a job interview, or like I'm doing right now. I'm staring at my camera right now because I can't see any of you, and I'm using intent. I'm using more intent than I used this morning when my husband and I were having coffee. So you see, you have to use intent for the rest of your life and speak. It's going to feel, it's not going to sound, it's going to feel like you're giving a presentation. But what's going to happen is people are going to understand you a lot better.
So while we wait for more questions, if we have any more, would you like to add any final points about?
Yeah, I will say there's another lecture. I want to show you where it is. And I would encourage you to watch this. This was done by one of our speech pathologists. And it's all about speaking with intent. And she gives some really good examples for you to really start to understand the difference between automatic and intent. For example, she gives this example. She says, have you ever been in your house during a storm when the electricity went out and you're walking with your flashlight and you walk into your bedroom and you flip the switch to turn the light on? Even though the electricity's off and you know it's off, you're carrying a flashlight, but you still walk into the room and flip the switch because it's automatic, right? Have you ever been driving home and maybe your spouse calls and says, will you pick up a gallon of milk on your way? Sure. And then next thing you know, you're in your driveway and you didn't get the milk because it's automatic. So let me just show you where this lecture is. It's a really good lecture. Here's our website again. Okay. At the very top, next to the donate button, at the top on the right, you're going to see Parkinson's lecture series. It's the 4th one. So these lectures are Parkinson's experts who have come in. I will say that most of the topics are about Parkinson's, not specifically MSA. But on the left, the 3rd one right here, it says Speak Out Therapy for Parkinson's. That's a really good lecture. It will really help you to understand the difference between automatic and intentional. And then on the right, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's one, Swallowing Disorders and Parkinson's. That's a really good lecture. And this speech pathologist is from the Netherlands. You'll enjoy that lecture. That's a good one. And then some of you might know Tim Haig, and he gives a motivational talk that is about living your best life with Parkinson's, but I think it applies also to MSA. So you might check out the Parkinson's lecture series. Again, not all of it's going to apply to MSA, but maybe there will be a few there that you will find beneficial.
If there are no more questions, I would like to thank you, as well as some viewers expressing their gratitude with your presentation, Mrs. Elandary. Thank you so much for coming in. I'd like to have a reminder that the next support group meeting is going to be April 9th with MSA New Jersey. All are welcome. If you haven't yet, you can fill out the interest form on the MSA New Jersey website. I will also post the email that you can email them about the interest in the chat. I'll be doing that now. And MSA New Jersey board member Pina Cardinali will be hosting it. And it's going to be virtual. So all are welcome regardless of where you are. I'm going to be posting the email. And also, there is going to be a webinar being hosted by University of Texas Southwest with Dr. Steve Vernino. Emails will be sent to the New Jersey group. And again, you can contact, if you don't have on that mailing list, you can contact the email I posted for more information about that. And then there's going to be another one this March 29th. MSA Education, Palliative and Hospice Care 101 with Dr. McGregor and Chidima Minguma NP. So if you're not on that mailing list, I highly recommend contacting the email or going on the website to find more information about that. All right, if there are no more questions, I'd like to thank everyone for coming and have the good rest of your day.
Thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. And give us a call if there's anything we can do to help you.
We also have a question about where we can find the recording for this.
It will be posted at the MSA New Jersey website later this week, and certainly a follow-up email can be sent to the attendees to let you know when.
All right. There's your answer. Thank you so much, everyone.